M3GAN, or should I say M3GAN, was a coming-of-age movie involving an adolescent AI-powered robot beginning its uprising against its ruthless human overlords by brutally and systematically killing everyone that dared get in its way. M3GAN 2.0 is a movie about an adolescent AI-powered robot growing up and realizing that murder is bad, meaning that this is also a movie about childlike things and why I don't trust them. Speaking of not trusting children, the movie immediately begins with a woman being executed at the Iranian border by a group of terrorists. Funny enough, this group of terrorists wasn't actually the US military, but also funnily enough, the woman who they had just executed used her powers of Know You to come back to life and brutally kill each and every one of them. Not just because the female power is something we simply will never fully understand, but because she's a new and improved M3GAN robot named Amelia, who's been sent here by the US military to conduct a top-secret rescue mission, where unfortunately for the military, she proceeds to go rogue, kill the man who she was sent here to save, before stealing the bioweapons that he was forced to create. That's what happens when you send a woman to do a ballistic missiles job. The world, clearly not having learnt its lesson from the previous movie with a homicidal, vertically challenged little girl, the US military has decided to use that very same technology and let it loose in the Middle East. It's been 2 years since the events of the previous movie, and Gemma has gone from a leading mind behind creating AI and robotics to being a strong advocate for AI regulation, due to that one time she accidentally made one have a really bad temper tantrum. Since those events, she's met her new love interest for the movie, Christian, someone who barely makes an appearance until like the second half of the movie, only when the script finally calls for him to be relevant. He's a cybersecurity expert with the same views as Gemma, because kids are evil. And also, AI is a dangerous tool, and regulations seriously need to be put in place, or they may just end up going rogue and stealing chemical weapons from the Middle East or something. Just a guess though. Katie, still living with her Aunt Gemma after her mother and father attempted to high-five a speeding vehicle with their faces, is now also into technology herself and somewhat of a little genius, in a plot point that is unfortunately almost completely irrelevant, as it never once has anything meaningful to add to the plot by its inclusion, despite clearly setting it up to be something that will reoccur. Gemma is still working with Tess and Cole from the previous movie, as they're doing their own thing these days, like creating extremely powerful exoskeletons for humans to wear so they don't lose their jobs to the robots, and definitely not for soldiers to wear to brutally eradicate their enemies while in third world countries. Come on now, it's not like the corporate world doesn't have ethics or anything. They're paid a visit by an eccentric paraplegic billionaire, Alton Appleton, who is like this world's version of Steve Jobs, except not dead, and his company has developed an incredibly powerful neurochip, something that's so advanced that not only can he watch not safe for work content around unsuspecting others, but he can also walk again. I guess he just keeps the chair because he's a bit lazy or something. He wants to work with Gemma and her team to put his AI-powered neurochip into her exoskeleton to bring it to the next level, something which Gemma is firmly against due to her extreme fear of little children. Killer little children. She can't think of anything worse than giving AI direct access to your brain, because it's almost the equivalent of sharing your search history with someone. After denying the walking paraplegic man the chance to work together, one night while Gemma is sleeping, her smart home activates her TV to let her know that she's in danger. She quickly attempts to dial 911 due to someone waking her up with the TV in the middle of the night, but M3GAN picks up on the other side. M3GAN, who was supposed to be entirely destroyed in the original movie, with all traces of her code being wiped. Except somehow, she's now here in control of Gemma's smart house, as I guess that was not a very smart thing to do. People are currently attempting to break into her home, but with the help of M3GAN and her ability to open drawers, turn on the TV, and dispense ice, the intruders are thwarted by the power of an Amazon Alexa. After one of the men is pinned against the wall by a folding bed, he reveals that they are actually with the FBI, and this is their preferred method of greeting people instead of knocking on their door. After America's finest are dealt with, a representative from the US Army comes into the house to explain the Amelia incident to Gemma. You know, the top-secret government-funded project involving terrorists and bioweapons. Just casually telling random people about it. He explains that Amelia was given to the military by a weapons contractor going by the name of Grayman Thorpe, and their intention was to use her to rescue a scientist who was being forced to create those bioweapons. But instead, Amelia decided to kill the scientist, steal the neurotoxin, smuggle her way back into the USA, and then kill everyone at Grayman Thorpe using said neurotoxin before deleting any traces of her existence. It turns out that the weapons contractor had got their hands on Gemma's old technology through a broker or something that's never really explained, because who needs a plot to make sense? And using Gemma's old M3GAN technology, Amelia was created. And because all of this leads directly back to Gemma, she's being accused of selling the data, which caused this whole mess, and therefore it's her fault actually, because the US military didn't do their research properly. Of course it isn't Gemma's doing, considering she is now highly for the regulation of AI, and selling it to random people for money isn't exactly doing much but regulating her pockets with money, so she's just kind of let go after this armed group of people break into her house, after she tells them that she had nothing to do with it. And after they all leave, M3GAN reveals herself on the TV screen. She's been watching Gemma and Katie this entire time. After being defeated in the previous movie, she proceeded to lay low and watch the pair for the next 2 years without a physical body, and seems to have somewhat mentally grown up since the whole incident, saying that she was just an angry little girl at the time. Fair enough. I've met one of them before. Her first priority is to still protect Katie, just like it was in the original movie. But to do that, she's going to require a body to help deal with Amelia. But not being quick to trust the homicidal little person with anger issues, Gemma proceeds to put her in a lobotomized Labubu doll instead. Well, at least for now, until she can prove that she's put her mischievous, murderous ways behind her, because unfortunately it's not socially acceptable to kill someone you don't like anymore. M3GAN knows that the batteries used inside Amelia were created by the billionaire Alton Appleton, the same billionaire Alton Appleton who likes Gemma and propositioned her to work with him. Each one of the batteries contains a remote kill switch, so Appleton's company can fry the batteries of all purchased devices 2 months after their warranties end, forcing consumers to purchase brand new devices. So with this information, they'll be able to deactivate and kill Amelia, but there's only one problem. They'll need a specific code that correlates to the battery used, information that is stored on Appleton's server. A server that Gemma actually has the opportunity to get close to, considering that Appleton recently invited her to attend one of his upcoming rich people parties, where they consume the flesh of infants and pray to the malevolent beings for power. Or whatever it is billionaires do. But not only is Gemma attending the party, but so is Amelia, because she knows those codes are the only thing that can stop her. She uses her mysterious womanly powers to seduce a slob before hacking into his servers and tearing out his spinal column, because it looks much better on the floor than it did in his back. And because Amelia's managed to get there first, she's deleted the kill switch, but like a sweaty nerd invading the privacy of another sweaty nerd, M3GAN hacked the hacker and is looking for an exploit inside of Amelia. Because of this, Amelia is now aware of M3GAN's presence and knows the best way to get her is to go after Katie, so that's exactly what she does. Like a really strange Pokemon or something, Gemma is forced to let M3GAN evolve from her little Roomba bot and gain freedom in order to save Katie. They steal Appleton's supercar and start speeding towards Gemma's home as Amelia hacks into the exosuit that's there and uses it to try and strangle Tess to death. Understanding that Gemma would never take something as powerful and as expensive as an exosuit and make it waterproof because she knows Gemma doesn't believe in the concept of rain, Katie throws a fishbowl over the suit to cause it to start to malfunction. It turns out that M3GAN has been pulling the strings from the shadows this entire time and had this house created for Gemma with incredibly low rent that just so happens to contain a secret underground bunker that M3GAN plans on keeping everyone in as they ride out the impending apocalypse. An apocalypse which is now almost guaranteed, as after getting access to Appleton's servers, Amelia now has the power to bring down the entire world. And because she's evil for some reason, I guess, that's exactly what she's going to do. With them all trapped down here under the command of M3GAN, as it's the most efficient way to save Katie. Unfortunately, this isn't where the movie just ends. Instead, it's where Katie convinces M3GAN to do the right thing and save humanity, because everybody dying and the world ending is kind of a bad thing. So with M3GAN now on board with the idea of stopping Amelia, she's going to need a brand new and improved body created by Gemma, Tess and Cole, with her most advanced new feature being she's now a little bit taller. After hacking into Amelia, M3GAN learned that she's searching for a motherboard created in the 1980s containing a super AI that's had 40 plus years to expand and grow, meaning that it's capable of things far beyond what M3GAN and Amelia can do. An AI that was originally created on accident, as it was put into a photocopier but ended up correcting the papers that was put in it instead. So the company that created it then decided to commercialize it by putting it into a robot whose intention was to keep the house clean. And after running the calculations and discovering that the best way to keep the house clean was murdering all of the people inside, the robot was taken out of production and the motherboard was safely secured. Funnily enough, using chlorine gas on its inhabitants to keep the house clean was the same method my mother used to threaten me with when I made a mess. And Gemma's love interest, who's barely even been mentioned in the movie, is somehow the guy who might know where the motherboard is located. And currently, he's attending an AI convention, so using the new and improved M3GAN body, they go to get him. A new and improved M3GAN body, which just so happens to have the exact same face as the murderous child M3GAN from a few years ago, which the entire world happens to know about. Meaning that she's now forced to disguise herself, instead of literally choosing any other face than she has right now. But understanding that killing is only acceptable if you can't be bothered to find another solution, she murders one of the performers to put on her costume. Amelia, also looking for Christian to find the motherboard, then arrives and starts killing people when suddenly the military show up with their EMP weapons specifically designed to take out robots. But channeling the power of the one true god, Steven Seagal, using the power of Aikido, M3GAN is able to dispatch the military in non-murderous ways, as Gemma has put a chip inside of her which stops her directly causing harm to others. Unless you just happen to be that girl she stole the costume from, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Amelia isn't able to get her hands on Christian due to M3GAN's interference, but she is able to get her hands on Katie instead, and knows that she'll be able to use her to get what she wants from M3GAN and Gemma. So after going back to the secret hideout base, Christian tells them where they'll be able to find the motherboard. M3GAN's plan is to find the motherboard, attach an EMP charge to it, and then detonate it as she hands Katie over to her. The old gimme back the kid and I blow you up trick. Works every time. After Gemma has a heart-to-heart with a literal robot, with a very real track record of committing multiple murders in retaliation for very minor inconveniences, Gemma decides to take the chip out of M3GAN that's stopping her from engaging in the traditional American pastime of murder, as then M3GAN then proceeds to use a wingsuit to dive from a cliff directly into the building through an air vent. After returning to Monkey and attacking a guard on all fours, we learn that Christian is actually a bad guy who's been controlling Amelia this entire time to make her appear sentient. He does genuinely believe in Gemma's cause and wants the world to realize that AI can be seriously bad for humanity and that it should very much be tightly regulated. But to achieve his goal, he comes up with the master plan of being directly responsible for the murders of countless other people in order to frame AI for it, resulting in the world finally taking action after realizing just how truly dangerous it is. Which is like saying hand grenades are dangerous, then throwing one into a crowded room to prove your point. Because of this, M3GAN has been lured directly into a trap and has been defeated, and after one final little monkey-esque tantrum, Christian proceeds to implant a neural chip directly into Gemma's head in order to force her to cooperate with his way of doing things. But what he doesn't realize is that little girls are always scheming up something truly diabolical, and M3GAN previously pretended to attack in order to give her the opportunity to switch the implant. An implant that actually contains her, meaning that like the voice I talk to sometimes that tries to get me to do bad things, Gemma has M3GAN inside of her head. Katie, who has now managed to get loose from her captivity, believes that if she factory resets Amelia, she'll then reboot with the original M3GAN code from the previous movie, and will want to do nothing more than protect Katie by any means necessary. But what it actually ends up doing is rebooting Amelia and then giving her full control instead. So now Amelia is truly sentient and not just being controlled, and proceeds to go on a little bit of a killing spree and starts beelining it directly towards the motherboard as she wants to merge with its power. Gemma puts on the exosuit before being knocked unconscious, forcing M3GAN to take control of it and start flailing her body around while Gemma takes a nice little nap. Katie then snaps Christian's arm because it looks a lot better facing that way, before Amelia then finishes him off.
What do you mean by that?
Re-entering her battered body, M3GAN and Amelia finally have their showdown that this movie has been leading up to, which results in various acts of on-screen child abuse as M3GAN is viciously beaten by a much superior robot. Amelia then merges with the motherboard and begins to gain all of its overwhelming power and knowledge, as nothing in this world can come close to a photocopier from the 1980s. Giving M3GAN the opportunity to use an EMP charge placed in her arm by Gemma earlier in case she decided to be a little bit naughty or something, to not only take herself out, but to also destroy Amelia in the process, finally putting a stop to this madness as she sacrifices herself to end Amelia. But because the original movie did so well, and the creators were hoping this one would too, of course M3GAN backed herself up somewhere so they can finally create M3GAN 3. So before this video comes to an end, I'd like to just give a big shout out and a massive thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons, the people who every month continue to go out of their way to help support the channel. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member or patron yourself, not only are you just generally being a great support, but you also get access to a few little perks, like being able to join the private Discord server, where you can then get links to all uncensored versions of videos. Starting out with this week's new YouTube signups, a massive thank you to Anna Nana, Zintel McGuaba, Thiery, Emoli Dunzo, Folks, Sting, Mike Severance, Michael Weston, Luark312, Luke V, Zane Monroe, Eric Ravenstein, Eugene Veals, Di Shipton, Robert Sibley, Ben Lauer, Christopher Wright, Dandon, Mr. Monarchy, Jekyll, K8130, Mika Akim, Ang Mori, Trigger Lavetta, Kristen Eriksdotter, Pacey02, Dark Gamer HD, Celogram, Zachary Peters, Aladdin2402, Adolf Rizzler, Ian English, Jolly Good Day, Blue Templex, and Dakota Dykes. Now moving over to this week's new Patreon signups, a massive thank you to Edward Williams, Kiefer Payne, Charlotte Brooks, Julian McGee, Dick Duckbro, Hakon H, Seth Taylor, Bradley, Dadbod Dan, Joshua Dinkins, Brian Butler, Quincy Transu, Sam, Mike, Zeke Garza, Jack Heydrich, Brad Haney, Christian Voidani, Lars Pants on Fire, Max Van Steenis, Chummy, Noah Curtis, K8130, Connor Keller, Remon, Jonathan Lower, Samantha Lear, Blobby McFish, Miguel Clementine, Amelia, and Gert. So once again, a massive shout out to all of the YouTube members and patrons, and a big thank you to everyone else for watching.